firewalls connections which are there when you're on a Wi-Fi which is not at home. So there are people who face the problem. I was having the same issue yesterday because I was using it from home. Where we can see Jalal now. Thank you, Jalal, for joining us. I know there was a lot of trouble going on with the present option, but let's just ignore that and we'll have love chatting with each other. Let me introduce Jalal to you guys. Jalal is a creative powerhouse. He wears multiple hats, from being a pioneer of Emirati digital art to being the best-selling author. His epic fantasy graphic novel, The Armagondas, which is now, it was the volume one when he was a bestseller. Now we have six volumes. I also want to emphasize here that he was also UAE's first digital artist and has since become one of the best-selling Emirati artists nationally and internationally. From UAE and Morocco to Beijing, Tokyo, New York, the world has seen his art and everyone become a fan of him. I was, lucky to meet him in person when I visited Dubai, and I mean, I don't know what to say, that he is such a personality that he is a gallerist also, he's an artist, he's a digital artist, and he is writing lots of novels and books. He's doing 3D modeling. So let me just start with how, when and how did you get started, and what were the breaks and challenges that faced you?
Thank you so much for hosting, hosting me on
It's an honor.
And really, sorry, I had so many. I think my files were so heavy and rich and stuff that they crashed my system and your system, and so I'm really sorry about that. But I started. I stumbled into the art world. I always drew and painted and stuff, and I got punished at a very early age for drawing on my books at school and on the table and the desk, and the teacher would pull me from the ear and put me in the corner, and I'd take a pencil and I'd draw on the corner, and they'd send me to the principal's office and I'll draw on the principal's office, so art has always been there, but and I think people who think that they discourage their kids from drawing by punishing them are actually doing the opposite. I think they're encouraging them, because I know that when I knew that my drawings could make older people angry, I just did more of it.
You were doing graffiti at that point of time when you were young.
So I was doing what?
Graffiti, the street art. You were actually,
Oh yeah, graffiti, anything. And if I found already something that was existing on the wall, I modified it. So anyway, but it was a very early age. I always drew and everything, and then the older I got, I started getting more into drawing superheroes and characters and things like that. And then as computers started to become more available, I decided to buy a computer which probably has less power than a Casio watch, but I still, I got it, and I had this idea that I will program it and I will create these things and stuff. It wasn't that easy, but what I learned, what I did learn from that is that, and it took a few years, that computers became good to produce, to draw on. So here I was in my late teens, between sketching and trying to figure out how these computers were. And we're talking about the early 80s. So yeah. Computers were very primitive. But I started. Then I took a break from that, and I started doing just the traditional. As I got older, I got into the traditional, markers and whiteboard and things like that, and doing manual typesetting and things to print and printing presses. And then by then the computers had caught up, and they became more capable of producing real art. And that's when I kind of married between my love for computers and technology and stuff, and the ability to draw and design. with each other, and I became a commercial artist. So when I say I stumbled into the art world, it's because I was doing some commercial work
Mm-hmm.
for a company, and actually not for a company, for an art center.
Okay.
And the lady that I was doing the work for her kept on asking for more samples. And I was like, what is this crazy woman? Already I'm executing the work. What do you want more samples for? And I didn't know that she was taking samples and applying in her exhibition department for an art exhibition for me. And I was finishing doing these graphic designs for them and posters and the history of the UAE and graphics and like this. And suddenly I get this phone call that said, congratulations, your art exhibition has been approved.
Wow.
What art exhibition? I never applied for an art exhibition. And then I was like, it was that crazy woman. She applied for me without me knowing. Because, I grew up in a family that we considered somebody who calls himself an artist is this really supreme creature that nobody can just call himself an artist, And people started, convincing me you're an artist. So I guess I'm an artist. So I had the first. I was doing a lot of digital art and traditional art in the beginning, but I wanted to have my first exhibition be a digital art exhibition because I wanted to be the first. And thank God, February 1996, I was the first to have the first digital art exhibition.
Wow.
Only in the UAE, but in the entire Gulf region, in the entire GCC. And the rest is history. After that, I got invited to New York, and then I went to Tokyo, and then I went to all these different countries and stuff. And in the beginning, it was scary because I'm from the UAE, and I'm going to New York, and in America, I'm sure their digital artists are the best in the world and stuff. And it was really nice because I went there, and some of them were asking me, "And how did you do this? And how did you do this?"
Wow, that's awesome. That's awesome. Jalal, you have worked in many mediums, like right now you're talking about the digital. How would you classify your art? Because if you had to, in the sense, because I have seen your work personally in your gallery also, and I keep stalking you in the Instagram also, keep looking at your new works. So how would you like to classify your work? And you have since you.
Look, I believe that I like to feel that my work and the way I execute it is totally free.
Mm-hmm.
I do not limit myself to a certain school of art or to a certain material, or I'm not monogamistic, for example, for when it comes to art materials. Whatever works, to me, it's a language. And if acrylics say a sentence and then metal has to continue the sentence or wood has to continue the sentence, then I'm going to go and look for wood. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to use plaster, or I'm going to weld metal or whatever. And this is why I believe if you want to call my artwork with a name, then call it free. Not free in price. No.
Absolutely.
It's free in the method, that don't limit yourself.
Absolutely.
I don't limit myself. I have a statement to say. My work is not necessarily beautiful. If you see my work, you'll know my work is not always beautiful. But will it touch you? Yes. Some of my work screams, and some of my work is ugly, but in a very truthful way, or very true in a very ugly way. Because I had a collection called My Own Prison. And in this one, I was very angry at people who, every time you talk to them, you tell them, did you do this? And no, I cannot. And did you do this? No. And they inspired me, their negativity inspired me to make this collection called My Own Prison. So in 3D, I created this 3D man, naked man standing. And the man it was a series of 4 paintings. Mm-hmm. One man was in glass, and one man was in concrete, and one man was in metal, and so forth. And they're looking away. So if you go to the Instagram or to my website, you'll see the collection. So you see this man looking away, and then I built a metal like a prison, around the painting. And the size of the man, I made the bars behind the man big enough for the man to squeeze out if he chose to. And that's why I call the collection my own prison. And there is no other way that I could have explained this. Hello?
Yeah, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm just putting your website also on the screen so that people can actually view your works as well.
Okay, thank you. That's good. And I put the metal pieces, the metal bars there, because there's no other way that that you can explain this without having the actual metal bars. I mean, you can actually that's the collection right there. You see that?
Yes.
So,
I wish I knew how to pause it, but
no, it'll come back. So
yeah.
this is another one called No More Sunshine, and that is where we become censors of ourselves, and the darkest pit, the darkest that we can reach to is when we censor ourselves, we police ourselves so much that our messages become muffled. So this is what I call my work. I mean, I that's a shoe. This is a ballerina shoe, by the way, that you see on the screen.
Yeah.
So and yeah, I did a shoe. I did a guitar. I did old oil barrels. I did old cars. Anything. If anybody stands still in front of me, I'll make artwork out of them. So.
There are so many mediums you have worked on. You use wood, you use plastic, you use metal, steel, everything. What goes through your mind when you make a work? Because I know that it takes ample amount of time, because I have seen your work. They sometimes take 6 months also, since you're working on them and waiting for them to dry. So what goes through your mind when you make a work?
If somebody can draw what happens in my mind, it'll be a very messy drawing. The ideas, when the ideas come, the idea comes very easy. I'm very susceptible to effectors that I mean, if I'm driving and I see a pigeon flying, then I'll be affected by that. If I'm driving and somebody and I see a little girl smiling, or I see an old man smoking, or whatever, the ideas come very, very, very easily. They come very effortlessly. But executing takes time, because it's for you to be able to translate what is in your mind very honestly onto with the material, onto the wall or onto a standing an empty space. It's a challenge, because you want to, as much as you want the artwork to have the same conversation between you and the artwork, normally the artwork opens a different dialogue with other people. So, which is fine. So this is the thing. And sometimes, yes, I mean, some work would take maybe a couple of weeks. Some other work has taken up to 8-9 months to produce. So there is no real, it's not, there's no real timing that goes into the artwork.
Absolutely. I have another question, which is like, what are you working now on currently? What are you working on? What is cooking in Jalal's studio?
What I'm working on now is I have a few. I mean, I do different things. I mean, I do consultancies, and I do retainers with certain companies for art consultancies and things like that, freelancing jobs, and so forth. I do certain commissions for certain private collections. But what I do myself is I have gathered all my artistic arsenal, as you may call it, and I'm concentrating on finishing the graphic novel. Mm-hmm. I'm looking to, because I want I'm planning for the graphic novel to eventually make it onto the screen, whether to the small screen or to the big screen, and this has taken is taking a lot of time. So I put all the artwork on the back burner for now. And concentrating on building the world. I mean, it took me a lot of times, many years to build the world. With it's a huge realm. There's an inner realm and an outer realm, and there's dragons and magic and good people and bad people and all of this. And I've it's been a challenge. I mean, working with creating the character, first sketching characters, then transferring them into 3D, and then sending them to the graphic artist who turns it into a comic book standard character and things like that. So this has taken a lot of time because with every character and the book, I mean, the story has close to 200 characters, and every character has a backstory and history and childhood and everything. And it started as one volume, and then it became 3 volumes, then it became 6 volumes, and then it became 9 volumes, and now it's up until 10 or 11 volumes. So now I'm just telling myself, Jalal, just stop, Jalal, stop. You have to finish writing it before you're like 120, you know?
So maybe after, the Game of Thrones is over, we have seen other few movies also. So next going to be your graphic novel, which will come on screen.
I think the universe is preparing it. It's preparing the world for me.
Okay.
Lord of is done. Game of Thrones is done. Harry Potter is done. So now I think the Armagondas are ready to make it. I just have to stop writing more. So
we talked about so much about technology today also. There was an artist who actually gave a demo on how he was painting digitally, how he was using brushes and all. And you have created so many characters, and there is, all digital series of yours. How do you place technology in art? Like where it stands? Jalal, could you hear me? No, should I repeat my question? Hi, Jalal, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay. So we were talking about, there were earlier sessions were also there. So there was Dave, who actually an artist who gave us a demo on how to digitally draw on computer on coral painting, and there was doodle artist also. So I just wanted to know, how do you think, like, where this technology is placed into the art world?
Look, if we look back at history, we have to know that we have to, and also learning from the coronavirus, we have to learn that there is a time and a place, for everything. And even before the coronavirus, we saw how important the marriage between technology and art and all the other fields. It's very important that they are connected. Yeah. Very early in the 70s, when the airbrush was first introduced, the people who were very, traditionalists, right, people who only believe in traditional art, they didn't accept.
Yeah.
They didn't at the beginning of watercolors. They didn't accept watercolors. Or in the beginning of airbrushing, they didn't believe that airbrushing was an art. And computer art is the same. But computers and technology are here to stay, and if we don't jump on that bandwagon, then we will be left in the dust.
Absolutely.
Technology and what we are doing right here is proof. I am sitting in Dubai, and there are people from all over the world listening to me right now. And some people might be inspired by what I'm saying, 6, 7, 10,000 miles away, and this is living proof. I can inspiring effectors, inspiring my work. I can be working on something. For example, when I'm writing the book, for me to, instead of me going to a library and wasting time driving and parking, going in, looking for a book, sitting down, opening it, I can now, with a click of a button, I can go in, I can see war formations or the speed of a horse, how they traveled from one place to the other. Tak, tak, tak. I have the information and I continue writing. I want to be affected by an artist in India. I don't need to go to India. I don't need to go to the library to look for a book in India.
Yeah, yeah,
Right
absolutely.
now I can click on an Indian artist, and pull that information down, get inspired. I can, if he's still alive or she's still alive, I can contact them. This is technology.
Yeah,
Anybody who tells
absolutely.
me technology is not important is
We have to
hazy.
adapt with the changing times, see how things have moved. We are doing a virtual fair, on art fair here. So I mean, I know that you are a gallerist, you own your own gallery also. There was someone who was asking that how, a lot of traditional media people still like canvases. What is the market for digital paintings? Do you think it's a big, huge market out there for the digital as a artist who's using digital as a medium to showcase their work?
Of course there is. I mean, I've sold many digital artworks. Um, Now it's much, there's much more challenge. I mean, I'm fortunate that I started when I did start, but now there's a lot more. I mean, computers are so much more powerful, you know. Uh,
Absolutely.
I mean, there's selling artwork, digital artwork, and so forth. There are museums and galleries that specialize in digital art. Digital art is as versatile, if not more versatile, than traditional artwork. It's enough that you can paint and go tick, and it dries. People who use oil paints will know what I mean.
Yes,
When you have
yes.
it for a week for the paint, and then when you need to go exhibit it, and you move the painting, and then you notice that the painting is on your hands now.
Yeah.
Um, Digital art goes into the news. Digital art goes into books, comic books, to the newspaper. Speed, and we're living in speed. People and companies no longer have time to give you a brief and wait for 3 weeks for you to come back with the artwork. In 3 weeks,
Absolutely.
khalas, your news is obsolete.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
Digital art. I mean, I know that I've sold digital art for a lot of money, and a lot of artwork, digital artwork, is in museums
Big,
around the
big
world.
collections. Yeah.
They are exhibited in galleries, and they're sold most of the time. They are sold for the same price as a traditional artwork. So yes, there is, but it's more competitive. So you have to know that you're going to be judged. But I mean, put one thing in mind: you don't want people who buy your work. I mean, you don't want people to buy your digital work because they're your relatives and they think, oh, Shabash, you're a very good artist. You don't want that. You want collectors to buy your art because it's a good investment, and then it's pretty and nice and fits on top of their sofa. This is the thing. I mean, art collectors don't necessarily buy your work because it's beautiful.
Hmm.
You know,
Yeah, it speaks
you know
to them. And they,
the big expensive $1 million tag artworks sometimes are ridiculous. But it's the message. They're buying the message. You
yes,
know,
absolutely.
Digital art has exactly the same opportunity to sell as traditional art.
So this is a huge, huge message for people who are out there working on the digital medium. Now Jalal is saying that he has sold this for huge money. I wish that the prices keeps going up and up. That's my best wishes to him. Jalal, there were many questions that came, and people were asking. As an artist, sometimes you feel that there is a creative block. Have you ever faced it, and how have you dealt with it?
A creative block,
Yeah,
of
like where
course,
you. Hmm. Go ahead.
of course. Um, Take a break. Don't force it. Look, good creativity is never forced. Go for a walk. Walk. I walk every day. I walk between an hour and a half to 3 hours. I created most of the. I write a lot of stories in my head while I'm walking. Okay, there's two things. If you're working on a commercial project,
Project, yeah.
then you have to be concentrated on the brief. You have to be professional enough to train your brain to be creative for your client. If you're producing artwork for your own collection that is going to go on a wall or as an artwork, that's something that has to say something you want to say. Don't force it. Nothing right in nature is forced. The rain, the sun, the grass, everything, birth, rebirth, death, whatever, nothing is forced. Artwork is the same. You're creating a being. Just think of it this way. You are creating, imagine it like a baby.
Yeah.
You can't decide that you want a baby now and you pop it out in a month. It's a very
We have
analogy.
conceived the idea. Now it has to, grow and grow and then finally deliver.
Yeah, it has to grow naturally. It has to grow naturally. It has to come out, and then when that happens, you'll notice that it just flows. Just flows very naturally. If you try and force it, a good collector or somebody who understands art will know that you're forcing it.
Yeah.
And you yourself, when you create the work, and then somebody asks you, "What does it mean?" You'll be like, "I think it is the sun, and these, and
You'll
I
build the
think."
story.
But they'll know that you're BSing them. So
I
you
have
can.
this. Mhm. Okay. Jalal, there is a work which I want to share with people who have seen, I want to show, and there is a beautiful story behind this invisible man. I want you to share that. I'm just sharing the screen with people to see your work.
Okay.
This is the huge work you have done, and you have worked really hard. What was the story behind it? Like, it's called the Invisible Man. People would, love to see.
Ah, this is this is the Invisible Man, and there's a big story behind this one, and it's a very interesting story and important one to me. It was me and a group of artists were going to, as part of a UAE art delegation to Italy for the 54th Venice Biennale. And so when we were there, we were waiting in the lobby, and I was sitting there reading, and then I read this article where there was a British reporter who had lived in the UAE for a long time, and I think she left. And the first thing she wrote when she left the UAE, she wrote about how terrible the UAE was and how Emirati artists enjoy dwelling in easy art, and all of them are digital artists, and all of them are digital photographers, and none of them can touch a paintbrush and all of this. And honestly, my skin crawled, and I
I'm
was.
sure anyone's, I mean,
But
this is
but but I learned something that don't answer them, show them. So
absolutely.
I went and I finished whatever we needed to do in Italy and all of that. And I remember when I was on the airplane, beside me was a friend of mine, and I drew the invisible giant on a napkin, and
Wow.
I go, "I'm going to do this," and he goes, "Okay," and and that's it. So I went and I folded it and I left it in my pocket, and we went and we finished everything. We came back. The next day I went to the industrial area. Um, and the guys there, they already know me. I said, "Okay," and I took out the napkin. I go, "I'm going to do this." And then I remember that the guy who comes and serves us tea and stuff, he comes, he goes, "Sir, you want another napkin?" Because he saw this dirty, wrinkled napkin and stuff. And I go, no, no, I don't want another napkin. So he thought this crazy guy, and he went away. Anyway, I went there, and I told them I'm going to take this area. It was an area, and it had a mini crane on it because I knew I'm going to be there for a while. Anyhow, I went there, and I remember I started working on it immediately after we came back. And I ended up, and I would go into their it was a big warehouse, metal shop basically. So I went in, and I went there, and I started working on. I took out all the recycled metal and everything. So I started working, and it took me. I worked for 8 months, and I worked every day for 10 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
Inside, I mean, if any of you have been to the UAE, you will know that in summer,
It is hot.
it's very hot. And if you're in a metal shop welding and stuff using more than 3,000 volts and stuff, then you know that that temperature goes up to 55 degrees. So
Yep.
outside it's 55. So imagine this, every few hours I go out to 45 degrees to cool down. And then I go back and I do this. So, and I put out, I remember a reporter came and she was like, and what are you doing? One group of reporters, they came to film me while I'm working on the Invisible Giant. One of them fainted because it was so hot.
So hot.
But anyway, another reporter, she came and she was, she was asking what it is. And I said, look, I invite any artist from anywhere in the world to come and help me, to come and spend a few days with me working on the sculpture. Nobody came. Because I wanted to prove that if you say that I'm an Emirati, yes, I do digital art and stuff, it does not reduce the artistic value of anything I produce. So I went there and I worked on this guy. I had one assistant, and I worked on him. Even through the holy month of Ramadan, I was fasting, and I was still working. And a couple of times I collapsed from extreme dehydration. 2 times I was blind because I wouldn't wear the safety goggles. I know I'm wrong, I'm supposed to wear the safety goggles and stuff, but it's, I just want to make sure these two meet. And then right before I can close my eyes, it touches and, I get the glare in my eye. So 2 times I became blind. And then I was very happy that like 12 hours later, I got my eyesight back. And when I was done, he weighs close to a ton. He's around 3 meters high. And his message is very clear. The guy, what the Invisible Giant stands for is all these giants in society. You can see from the gestures on his hands and stuff that he's strong. The structure is a very strong structure inside him. I created a triangular frame, the same technique that people who build bridges use, so that it can carry all that weight. The idea of him is that he is a person in society who is an invisible giant. He is excellent in science or in medicine, law, whatever. Yet either he chooses not to help society or society chooses to make him invisible. And this is how the Invisible Giant came about.
This is a right answer you gave to the lady the reporter who came to UAE. I would like to now open the panel to all the people who are there attending these sessions. Please share if you have any questions. Please write in the discuss area, and I'll be happy to ask Jalal, who is specially joining us from Dubai for today for this fair. So here is your golden chance to ask the man. If there is a person, Ankit, saying, I want this invisible man. Sunil is saying, beautiful work. And there's Shilpa, she's saying, I'm also a digital artist from Dubai. There's Purnima. She's saying you are doing some lovely work. Must say that art has come a very long way as far as Dubai is concerned. There is whole new change we have seen even in Sharjah also. There are lots of new hubs which are coming, and Sheikh, I think his name is Sheikh who has done quite a remarkable job with the art scene there. So, is there anyone who would like to ask questions? I'm just waiting for people to pop up. I can see lots of hands up coming. So, Ankit is asking, how's the collector market in Dubai? Do people buy a lot of art?
Question for me?
Yeah, there is a question for you. How is the collector's market in Dubai?
The collect it's market is good. The market is good. It is recently the market has been more to the to the lower tag prices rather than the huge
Hmm.
prices before the coronavirus. But there is a market. Of course, it's very slow now for new artists and so forth because there is still public exhibitions and real gatherings are still very limited. That's one thing. Also, the transportation of people who usually attend big art festivals and art exhibitions and stuff has been more limited because of the coronavirus. So there
Yeah.
is a limitation, but a lot of the artwork that is being sold now is mostly virtual through online, through people who are in contact with art galleries. So artists now is a good time for them to build the beginning artists. It's a good time for them to build a good portfolio to start contacting galleries
Nice.
because a lot of the art now is going through art galleries,
Hmm.
and a lot of most of the art exhibitions that are happening, especially in the UAE, whether it's Abu Dhabi or Sharjah or Dubai, is virtual. So a lot of them are virtual
But
and online galleries.
so there is Abhinav who is asking, tell us more about this mythical creatures that you have in your mind. You have created this huge plethora of 200, 2000, creatures which in even in your book. How what is it you have in mind? More
The
sorry.
okay. First of all, the best the best way to back up what I'm saying is to go to the Instagram account of the book, which is called the Armagondas. I'll try and find it here.
Mm.
There's a lot there, which is this one. I don't know if you can see.
Yeah, we can. The Armagondas. Yes. So
Yeah.
people can follow and see all the creatures
So
and
there's
these beautiful ones which Jalal has created, cooked in his mind, conceived well. Wow.
there's a bit of the characters and the stuff there, which is
Hmm.
more than I can. Where is this? And then there's some little because there's two wisdom wise old ladies and stuff. So
Hmm.
that's the easiest thing to do.
So,
The Armagon, it's a book that I started writing 27 years ago.
wow.
So I grew up with this obsession. Um, it's the story is about two brothers who come from a culture of extreme violence and invading other countries and claiming and plundering and all of this. And then suddenly, one of them gets faces a trauma and changes, and he throws his sword to the ground and says, "I will never fight again." So the kingdom that he's from banishes him, and he goes with a small group of people to establish a small island far, far away called Armagon, and they
Hmm.
become Armagons, and they live in peace and harmony, and they instead of investing in war and killing and stuff, they invest in technology and science and uh, agriculture and so forth, but nothing like that lasts forever. They get invaded,
Okay.
And this is the story of the orphans, because all the old people died and got killed. So a few orphans run away and to somewhere else,
Safe.
and they build their own little kingdom and survive.
There is Shilpi who is trying to say that, are you open for the collaboration? She lives in Dubai and wants to see if she can visit your studio. So there are people who want to collaborate.
No, I'm kidding.
Okay,
Um,
if Shilpi you're there, you can see he's open for the collaboration. And when this pandemic is over, I'm sure you can visit his studio. You all can follow him on the Instagram. Jalal, would you like to tell your Instagram handle to everyone?
Sorry, you're talking
Would
to
you like
me?
to, yeah, would you like to tell your personal Instagram handle where people can follow you and your work?
Yeah, sure. My Instagram account is the name is very not creative. It's just Jalal Luqman. Jalul. I forgot how to
It's
spell my name.
written right up there where you see my name. It's JALAL LUQMAN.
Exactly. That's it. So
So
it's
just type that and you'll find Jalal and you can follow him, see his work, and yeah, there we go. Simple.
very, yeah, my name is very uncreative. So
Not at all. That's not fair.
yeah,
But thank you so much, Jalal, for taking out time and talking to us. It's been very insightful and to know about the art scene from of Dubai to your work, the mediums, and how the collector's market is. So,
thank you.
guys, this is the end of the day. And Jalal, final words?
I'm sorry. I had so many. I prepared so many visuals and stuff, but unfortunately, I couldn't show any of it.
Yeah,
But time.
it's our mistake too because there was something we also had, but the transfer link expired. So, but do watch his video, which is there on Mojato on the Instagram handle. It will give you a nice glimpse of Jalal's work, and there is a lot of things which one can learn from him. So thank you everyone. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll the you Jalal, if you have time after this session, maybe you can go to the booths and look at few people's work. They would be delighted to see you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you everyone.